Hi everyone. I just wanted to give people an update on how things are going. It's been a rough few days for me um, because of the stuff that's happened to me, and it hasn't really been fair or just or anything like that, but I'm trying to pull through. Um, I did go to church today, and I did want to share a few things that I learned today because we had a Bible study afterward because my church is doing a sort of series on homosexuality in the Bible, and I already kind of sense some people are going, yeah, it's. Here's the thing though, we had a really great discussion about it, and today our kind of focus was on like this particular clobber passage from Genesis 19. Two angels came to Sodom in the evening while Lot was sitting in the city's gateway. When Lot saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face towards the ground. He said, "Here, my lords, please turn aside your servant's house. Stay the night and wash your feet. Then you can be on your way in the morning." "No," they replied, "we'll spend the night in the town square." But he urged them persistently. So they turned aside with him and entered his house. He prepared a feast for them, including bread baked without yeast, and they ate. Before they could lie down to sleep, all the men, both young and old, from every part of the city of Sodom surrounded the house. They shouted to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them." Lot went out to them, shutting the door behind them. He said, "No, my brothers, don't act so wickedly. Look, I have two daughters who have never had sexual relations with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and then you can do whatever you please. Only don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." "Out of our way," they cried. "This man came to live here as a foreigner, and now he dares to judge us. We'll do more harm to you than to them." They kept pressing in Lot until they were close enough to break down the door. Yeah, it actually just kind of gets worse from there. But yes, this is the infamous passage that leads to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And historically, this passage has been used to sort of condemn gay people or suggest that gay people are evil. But what is it really about? What is it really about? Because is it really the fact that they want to have sex with men the problem? And one of the things we discussed at our Bible study was the previous chapter to this one, where it has Abraham in a very similar situation being extremely hospitable towards the servants of God. And so that seems to be the bigger issue here, is hospitality and the role hospitality plays. We had a really productive discussion about this, and there were some insights and takeaways from this. This passage has been cited elsewhere in the Bible, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And when they talk about it elsewhere in the Bible and compare Sodom to whatever the current situation is, it isn't the gay thing that's the issue. It's always about oppression. It's always about just hurting other people and going out of your way to make things difficult for people. That is really what the issue of Sodom is. In a later passage, and I wish I had it actually accessible to me, but I don't have it right here. In a completely separate book, the sin of Sodom is not the gayness; it's that they had plenty and were overflowing with stuff that they could have shared with others and didn't. And what this makes me think of right now is the refugee crisis in Syria. Fair or not, the United States and Russia are fueling the war presently. They have chosen sides in this war. regardless of whether that's just or not, the truth is that because of the actions of the United States and Russia, both major powers who have plenty, there is a refugee crisis. There has been an explosion of refugees. Europe, in particular, has received many, many refugees. And while Germany has been immensely generous, the two nations who are fueling the war have not been quite as generous. And many of the nations near Germany have created refugee camps and treated the refugees like dog crap. And it makes me think about this passage and its relevance to hospitality. Now, do I think that a supernatural being is going to come down and destroy Europe? Well, no, I don't. I don't actually believe that. And it actually kind of fits with my general kind of understanding of actually most of Genesis. Actually, really all of the first 5 books of the Bible is that so much of them is larger than life and big. Much of it is shrouded in myth. These events took place before writing was even invented, so I don't think that these events are things that actually took place in the real world. But here's where I do read value in them, is reading between the lines. We live in a time where we have weapons that can destroy the world. In antiquity, it was really only the gods that could destroy the world, but we can. We have climate change, we have nuclear weapons. But you don't even need nuclear weapons to destroy a nation. For a nation to destroy itself. You don't need much of anything, really. A nation that has reached a point where that has become toxic, where that has become dysfunctional, doesn't even need nuclear weapons or God to destroy it. The thing about God is destroying things is that we do such an amazing job of destroying ourselves without any help whatsoever. We've done it many times in the past. We've gone through dark ages before. We've had nations that have completely been consumed in genocide and civil war. So we don't really even need God's help to destroy ourselves. Now, what I was saying before about sort of shrouding in myth, my conjecture is that the writers of these passages knew of these ruins of this city that had destroyed itself, or had legends of this city that had been destroyed. And if a society was that toxic as what was described here, where the first thing they do to greet a new person is that they want to rape them, you know, it doesn't sound like the kind of place that is going to survive. Imagine a city that was the most unjust city that you can imagine. Like, imagine a city that was full of unjust people, of people who were destructive, that tried to hurt other people for the sake of hurting other people. Would such a city be able to last? It might work for a while, but the thing that there is to understand about places where their sole purpose is to find people to hurt and to exploit for whatever, is that they tend to eat their own. And that's the kind of place that Sodom, I'm guessing, was. I mean, eventually people are just going to get fed up, leave, and everyone else is just going to get into a civil war. So the example that we should take away from Sodom, the story of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, is not that gay people are evil, but rather that toxic places, places of intense injustice, are unsustainable, and that we need to always be cautious of that which we do to others. So that should be my takeaway from that. The other thing I would add is to never ever let anyone tell you that God doesn't love you just because you're gay. That itself is probably the most inhospitable that you could be. To seek out other people for bullying, to react to a servant of God with, I want to fuck them over. That is what a real sodomite is. That is what the true sin of Sodom is.